Hi all. As a part of our entry question series, today I'm going to explain you a very important question from accounts payable. See, the question is, what are standard stages in SAP payment plan? So it's very little bit lengthy question, right? So first I will explain you. Later on, I will at the end of the video today, I will explain you how you have to answer this question. Whether you have to give the answer in a short manner or whether you have to explain this question in an expandable manner. So for that, I will explain you at the end of the video. So please listen to the entire video. Don't skip the video in between. So the question is, what are the standard stages in the SAP payment run? So these are the 4 standard phases in the execution of automatic payment program in the transaction code F110. Number 1, parameters. Number 2, proposal. Number 3, program. Number 4, print. So these are the 4 standard stages or the phases in the execution of automatic payment program. Now we will see what happens at each of the phase. So parameters phase. In this phase, the user enters the selection criteria such as company codes, payment methods, next payment run date, and vendor number range to be considered in the payment run. So in the parameters phase, you enter the selection criteria. That means you have to tell the system, right, for which company codes it has to execute the payment program, what are the payment methods to be considered in the payment program, and who are the vendors for whom the invoice are to be analyzed to make the payments. So all this information is to be given to the system. So unless you give this information to the system, it cannot proceed, right? That's why this information is provided in the parameters phase. Then the next phase is proposal. So based on the parameters entered, the system identifies the vendors who have become due as on the date of executing the payment program. And for every vendor, it identifies only those invoices which have become due. This is called proposal. That means, see, here today we are executing the payment program, right? And company code is SSMN. Then for this company code, we are selecting the payment method C for check. Then vendor range is 1 to 100. Vendor range is 1 to 100. So these are called parameters. Now, based on the parameters, first of all, the system identifies only those vendors who have become due today. For example, we have entered the vendor number range 1 to 100, right? So out of these 100 vendors, today only 3 vendors have become due. That is vendor number 25, vendor number 57, and vendor number 68. So these are the 3 vendors that have become due. Then for every vendor, the system will identify only those invoices which are to be paid. For example, for the vendor number 25, there may be 10 invoices due on different due dates. But today, only these 3 invoices have become due. Then for this vendor number 57, today these 3 invoices are due. And for the vendor number 68, today these 3 invoices are due. This is called proposal. Simple. This is called proposal, right? So in the proposal, system identifies only those vendors who have become due as on the date, and for every vendor, it will identify the invoices which have become due as on the date. Okay, that is the meaning of the proposal, right? Sorry, just a minute. So we can edit the proposal and we can display the proposal. In the editing function, we can change the payment method, house banks, and the account ID, etc. And we can block an invoice for payment also. It is very important function which is available in the proposal. We can block an invoice for the payment also. Say for example, right, for the vendor number 25, I don't want to make the payment on the second invoice because there is a dispute on the second invoice regarding the quality. So unless that dispute is settled, I don't want to make the payment to vendor, right? So this invoice can be blocked. Okay. Similarly, for the vendor number 57, invoice number 169 to be blocked. So this invoice also can be blocked. Then for the vendor number 68, I want to block this third invoice. So this can also be blocked. So how to block? I will show you in the class. Here I'm just explaining the interview question. That's it. It's actually the part of your practicals. So in the class, I will explain you where we can block and how to display proposal and how to block. All this information, all these settings I will show you in the classes. Okay. Now, so if you want, we can block this invoice for this vendor. Similarly, for this vendor, this invoice can be blocked. Then for the vendor number 68, this invoice can be blocked. That's how at the proposal phase, we can block the invoice. And also if necessary, we can change the payment methods. We can change the house bank also, right? So that is what happens in the second phase. Then third phase, program. Once the proposal is verified and authorized, the user executes the payment program. As a result, the following accounting functions are affected. See, here in the real time, normally what happens is, I'm explaining the standard procedure. You take the printout of the proposal and that proposal is sent to the authorized employee. So that authorized employee will verify the proposal, right? So if he thinks that everything is okay and all the invoices are to be paid, then he will sign on the proposal and he will send it back to the lower level employee. Suppose if the higher level employee, right, thinks that some invoices for some of the vendors to be blocked, then he will write his recommendation on the proposal. Based on that proposal, right, the user can block the invoices. Now, that is the meaning of once the proposal is verified and authorized, the user executes the payment program. As a result, the following accounting functions are affected. Number one, all the vendor due line items for which the checks have been printed are cleared. Number one, all the vendor due line items for which the checks have been printed are cleared. Now, number two, the vendor reconciliation accounts are updated automatically. The bank accounts are updated. The check register is updated. The vendor account balances are updated and the payment documents are generated. That means accounting documents are posted. So this is the third phase. Sometimes, right, the interview may ask you only the third phase answer. Like what? What are the accounting effects of the automatic payment program? The interviewer may ask you another question, right? What are the impact of executing automatic payment program? In that case, you have to tell all the 6 points, right? But it is part of your standard phases of automatic payment program. So once the program is executed, the system affects all these accounting functions automatically. Then fourth phase, print. So once the program is executed, we go for the fourth phase, print. So in this phase, the system prints the checks, payment advices, and payment summary. This is the answer to the question, right? What are the standard stages in the automatic payment program? But it depends upon the question, how you have to answer. So suppose if the interviewer asks you, explain the different standard stages in the SAP payment run, then you have to explain. First, you have to say these 4 phases, and also you have to explain what happens at every phase, right? But if the interviewer asks you, what are the standard stages in SAP payment run? Then the answer is only this. That's it. Parameters, proposal, program, print. That's it. Again, I'm repeating. If the interviewer asks you, what are the standard stages in SAP payment run? Then you have to give the answer like, there are 4 phases. They are number 1, parameters, number 2, proposal, number 3, program, number 4, print. But if the question is, explain the standard stages in SAP payment run, right? Then you have to explain these 4 phases, and each phase, what happens also, you have to explain. So you have to understand the question asked by the interviewer very carefully, right? So in the next video, right, I'll meet you with another interview question. Till then, have a nice time, all of you. Thank you. And please don't forget to subscribe me to my channel.